I am Jarvis, your storyteller. Welcome to the science fiction exploration. If you like the story, please subscribe to our channel. Nova huddled deeper into the doorway of the abandoned bookstore, watching her breath form crystals in the midnight air. Chicago had never seen a winter this brutal. The meteorologists called it unprecedented, but Nova called it survival. At 11 years old, she'd learned that big words didn't make the cold any less bitter. Her worn backpack contained everything she owned: 3 library books, a dented thermos, and her mother's old journal. The last item was useless for warmth but priceless for memory. The thermal blanket wrapped around her shoulders was her most valuable possession, salvaged from a dumpster behind the emergency clinic 2 months ago. A strange sound cut through the howling wind, something between a chime and a whimper. Nova tensed, scanning the empty street. The city's homeless population knew this block was hers, claimed through countless small battles and careful alliances. But the sound came again, distinctly non-human. In the blue-white glow of the streetlight, she spotted movement in the alley across the street. Curiosity wrestled with caution in her mind. After 3 years on the streets, Nova knew curiosity usually led to trouble, but something about that sound tugged at her heart. "Just a quick look," she whispered to herself, clutching the blanket tighter. The frozen pavement crunched under her boots as she crossed the street, following the ethereal sound. There, wedged between a frozen dumpster and the brick wall, lay something impossible. At first glance, it appeared to be a cat-sized creature made of living crystal, its translucent body pulsing with weak inner light. Faceted surfaces caught the dim light, creating rainbow patterns on the snow. One of its crystalline limbs was cracked, leaking a luminescent substance that froze instantly on contact with the air. Nova's breath caught in her throat. The creature's eyes, if they could be called that, were deep pools of swirling light that fixed on her with unmistakable intelligence. It made that chiming sound again, weaker this time, and Nova saw how its light dimmed with each pulse. She knew that look. It was the same one she'd worn 3 years ago when the social workers found her hiding in the park after her mother disappeared. Fear, pain, and desperate hope all mixed together. Without hesitation, Nova unwrapped her thermal blanket. The cold immediately bit through her layers of scavenged clothes, but she ignored it, carefully approaching the crystal being. "Hey there," she said softly, the way she'd learned to talk to scared alley cats. "I won't hurt you, promise." The creature watched her, its light flickering erratically. As Nova got closer, she noticed the air around it was significantly warmer, not hot, but like a gentle spring day. She slowly extended the blanket, and to her amazement, the creature didn't shy away. As she wrapped the blanket around its crystalline form, the being made a sound like wind chimes in a gentle breeze. The moment the blanket touched it, the fabric began to shimmer with a faint, otherworldly glow. The creature's light steadied, growing slightly stronger. "You're welcome," Nova said, trying to ignore how her teeth had started chattering. "I'm Nova. Don't suppose you want to tell me what you are?" The crystal being responded by carefully extending what looked like a tendril of pure light toward her hand. When it touched her skin, Nova gasped. Not from pain, but from the sudden flood of warmth that spread up her arm and throughout her body. The bitter cold melted away, replaced by a comfortable warmth she hadn't felt in months. More than that, she felt connected. Images flashed through her mind, vast crystal cities floating in space, beings of light and geometry dancing between stars, and a terrible darkness spreading through the galaxy. The creature was showing her memories, she realized. It was trying to communicate. A distant siren snapped Nova back to reality. She blinked, processing what she'd seen. "You're lost," she whispered. "Like me, but someone's looking for you, aren't they? And not in a good way." The crystal being's light pulsed in what seemed like confirmation. Nova glanced at the street, suddenly aware of how exposed they were. Her survival instincts screamed at her to walk away. This wasn't her problem. But as she looked at the injured creature, wrapped in her only blanket, she knew she couldn't abandon it. "Okay," she said, making a decision that would change not only her life but the fate of 2 species. "I know somewhere safer. Can you move?" The being struggled to its feet, its crystalline form catching the streetlight. Nova noticed its injured limb was already starting to heal, tiny geometric patterns forming across the crack. Whatever it was tough. As they made their way through the shadows of the alley, Nova couldn't shake the feeling that she'd just become part of something much bigger than herself. The crystal being's warm light pulsed steadily now, pushing back the darkness and the cold. For the first time in years, Nova felt something she'd almost forgotten: hope. What she didn't notice were the two figures watching from a rooftop above, their advanced scanning equipment tracking every move. One turned to the other, speaking in a language no human had ever heard. The prophecy was right. She's the one. Nova led the crystal being through a maze of back alleys, keeping to the shadows where the streetlights couldn't reach. The creature's glow had dimmed to a soft shimmer beneath the thermal blanket, making them less conspicuous. She'd learned long ago which paths to take to stay invisible in the city. Their destination was an abandoned subway maintenance tunnel she'd discovered last summer. Most people avoided it because of the danger signs, but Nova knew it was structurally sound, just forgotten, like so many things in this part of the city. As they descended the rusty maintenance stairs, the crystal being's light revealed elaborate geometric patterns etched into its surface, shifting and changing like living mathematics. Nova found herself mesmerized by the display. "I think I'll call you Prism," she said, "since I can't pronounce whatever your real name is." The creature chimed softly, its light pulsing in what seemed like approval. Through their strange connection, Nova felt a sense of amusement. Apparently, her new friend had a sense of humor. They reached the bottom of the stairs, and Nova led Prism through a narrow passage into a wider chamber. This was her real home, carefully hidden from the world above. Salvaged battery-powered lanterns cast a warm glow over the space. She'd arranged wooden pallets and cushions into a cozy nest, surrounded by stacks of borrowed library books and small treasures found on the streets. "Welcome to my secret base," Nova said, trying to sound cheerful despite her growing exhaustion. The warmth Prism had shared earlier was fatting, and the bitter cold was creeping back into her bones. Prism moved to the center of the room, and suddenly the chamber filled with flowing patterns of light. Nova gasped as three-dimensional star maps materialized in the air around them, showing vast sectors of space she'd never imagined. Through their connection, understanding flooded her mind. Prism was a stellar guardian, part of an ancient race that maintained cosmic harmony through living mathematics and crystalline technology. They were peaceful explorers and healers, using their ability to manipulate energy and matter to help developing civilizations. But something had gone wrong. A dark force had emerged from the spaces between galaxies, corrupting the delicate balance the Guardians protected. Nova saw images of crystal cities falling into shadow, of light being twisted into darkness. Prism's people had scattered across the universe, searching for allies in their fight against this cosmic cancer. "That's why you're here," Nova whispered. "You're looking for help." She felt Prism's confirmation, but there was more. The being shared another memory of its ship being attacked above Earth's atmosphere, of a desperate plunge through the clouds as dark vessels pursued it. A deep boom from above interrupted the flow of images. Nova felt Prism's fear spike through their connection. The crystal being's light fluctuated wildly as it projected a new image. Sleek, dark ships descending through Earth's atmosphere, their hulls absorbing light rather than reflecting it. "They followed you here," Nova realized, her heart racing. "The ones who attacked you." Prism's light dimmed in confirmation, and Nova felt waves of regret through their bond. The being hadn't meant to bring danger to her world. Before Nova could respond, heavy footsteps echoed from the maintenance tunnel. She quickly doused the lanterns, but Prism's glow was harder to hide. The crystal being pressed close to her, sharing another burst of warmth and strength. Through the darkness, Nova heard voices speaking in harsh, guttural tones that no human throat could produce. Shadows darker than the surrounding blackness crept along the walls. She held her breath, pressing back against the cold concrete. Suddenly, a new sound cut through the tension, the clear, sharp note of a whistle. The dark figures paused. The whistle came again, followed by a voice that sounded surprisingly human. "This way, the energy signature is stronger down here." The shadows retreated, following the voice. Nova waited until the footsteps faded before releasing her breath. "That was close," she whispered. But who was? A soft tap on her shoulder made her jump. Nova spun around to find herself face to face with a tall woman in a sleek silver uniform. Her dark skin seemed to shimmer with tiny points of light, like she'd been dusted with starlight. "Hello, Nova," the woman said with a gentle smile. "I'm Commander Phoenix of the Earth Defense Initiative. We've been waiting for someone like you for a very long time." Nova stared, questions tumbling through her mind. Earth Defense Initiative, waiting for her. But before she could voice any of these thoughts, Prism's light flared brilliantly. Through their connection, Nova felt recognition, relief, and hope. The commander knelt down to Nova's level. "I know you have questions. The truth is, Earth has been preparing for this moment for decades. We knew they were coming, the Void Hunters and the Stellar Guardians. We just didn't know who would find us first." She gestured to Prism. "Your friend here is part of an ancient race that's helped countless civilizations evolve and grow. The fact that it chose to trust you, out of all the humans it could have encountered, is significant." Nova looked between the commander and Prism, trying to process everything. "But I'm just," she started. "A homeless kid," Phoenix finished with a knowing smile. "Sometimes the universe has a way of choosing exactly the right person at exactly the right time. Your compassion, your survival skills, your ability to adapt, these aren't weaknesses, Nova. They're exactly what we need right now." A distant explosion rocked the tunnel, sending dust cascading from the ceiling. Commander Phoenix's expression turned serious. "The Void Hunters are getting closer. We need to move. Both of you are too important to fall into their hands." Nova felt Prism's light pulse with determination. Through their connection, she saw flashes of possibility, of hope restored, of darkness pushed back, of humanity joining something greater than itself. She squared her shoulders and nodded to the commander. "Okay," Nova said, her voice stronger than she felt. "What do we do next?" Commander Phoenix led Nova and Prism through a hidden door in the maintenance tunnel, revealing a sleek elevator that seemed impossibly advanced for its surroundings. As they descended, Nova watched numbers flash past on a holographic display. -100, -200, -500 feet. "The Earth Defense Initiative has been operating in secret for over 50 years, Phoenix explained as they dropped deeper into the Earth. "We were formed after the first Stellar Guardian made contact with world leaders in 1972. They warned us about the Void Hunters and helped us prepare." Nova felt Prism's light pulse with recognition at the mention of the first contact. Through their connection, she saw glimpses of that meeting, crystal beings sharing knowledge with awestruck humans, teaching them to harness new forms of energy and technology. The elevator stopped at -1,000 feet. The doors opened onto a vast underground chamber that took Nova's breath away. The ceiling arched hundreds of feet overhead, covered in panels that somehow mimicked the real sky above. The space was filled with a city in miniature, buildings that blended Earth architecture with crystalline structures, parks with trees that seemed to glow from within, and people. So many people. "Welcome to Haven," Phoenix said, watching Nova's amazed expression. "One of humanity's best-kept secrets." They stepped out into the underground city. Nova noticed that while most of the people looked human, some had the same starlight shimmer as Phoenix. Others had subtle geometric patterns traced across their skin, like living tattoos that shifted and changed. "They're hybrids," Phoenix explained, noticing Nova's curiosity. "Children of humans and stellar guardians. We call them starborn. They're living proof that our species can work together, evolve together." Through their bond, Nova felt Prism's joy at seeing the harmonious collaboration. But there was also urgency, a pressing need to share crucial information. Phoenix led them to a building that looked like a cross between a research facility and a crystal garden. Inside, scientists worked at stations that combined holographic displays with living crystal interfaces. At the center of the main room stood a massive crystalline structure that pulsed with multicolored light. "The heart of Haven," Phoenix said. "It powers everything here using technology the Guardians taught us. But it's more than just a power source, it's also a detector. And 3 days ago, it showed us something terrifying." She gestured, and a holographic map of the solar system appeared above them. Dark spots, like ink drops in water, were spreading through space around Earth. Void Hunter ships, Phoenix explained grimly. More than we've ever seen before. They're not just hunting Guardians anymore, they're preparing for a full invasion. Prism moved forward, its light connecting with the heart's glow. Suddenly, the holographic display changed, showing a complex pattern of intersecting lines and geometric shapes. Nova felt understanding flow through their bond. It was a key, a way to unlock something powerful. That's it, Phoenix breathed. The resonance pattern we've been trying to decode for decades. Your friend just gave us the missing piece. Before Nova could ask what that meant, alarms blared throughout the facility. Red lights pulsed as a voice announced. Perimeter breach detected. Unknown entities have penetrated levels -200 through -600. Phoenix's face hardened. They followed us. Somehow they tracked us through our own shielding. She turned to Nova and Prism. We need to get you to the sanctuary chamber, now. They ran through corridors that seemed to shift and reconfigure themselves, passing evacuating scientists and security teams moving in the opposite direction. Nova's heart pounded, but she felt Prism's warmth steady her nerves. They reached a massive door made of the same living crystal as the heart. Phoenix pressed her hand to it, and geometric patterns spread from her touch. The sanctuary chamber is the most secure location in Haven. The walls are made of compressed spacetime, theoretically impenetrable. The door swung open, revealing a circular room filled with softly glowing crystals. But as they stepped inside, Nova felt Prism's alarm spike through their connection. The crystal being's light flashed in warning. Too late, Nova saw the shadows moving against the walls, shadows that shouldn't exist in a room so filled with light. A figure stepped out of the darkness, its form seeming to bend reality around it. When it spoke, its voice was like the absence of sound. "Thank you, Commander," it said, "for leading us exactly where we needed to go." Phoenix's face went pale. She reached for her weapon, but the shadows were faster. They wrapped around her like living darkness, pulling her away from Nova and Prism. "Did you really think," the void creature continued, "that we wouldn't have agents in your precious haven, that we wouldn't infiltrate your leadership?" Its form shifted, revealing more of its true nature, a being of pure void, wearing reality like an ill-fitting suit. Nova backed away, pulling Prism with her. The crystal being's light blazed defiantly, but they were surrounded. The void creatures circled them, their very presence seeming to drain the warmth from the air. "The child and the guardian," the lead creature said. "The keys to everything, our masters will be pleased." But as the shadows closed in, Nova felt something strange through her connection with Prism, not fear, but a building resonance. The crystal being's light began to pulse in a complex rhythm, matching the beat of Nova's heart. She remembered what Phoenix had said about the resonance pattern, about unlocking something powerful. Looking into Prism's swirling lights, Nova understood they weren't just running from the darkness. They were about to fight back. The sanctuary chamber filled with a sound unlike anything Nova had ever heard, a perfect harmony between her heartbeat and Prism's crystalline resonance. The void creatures hesitated, their shadowy forms rippling with what might have been uncertainty. Through their connection, Nova felt Prism sharing knowledge, not in images this time, but in pure understanding. The Stellar Guardians hadn't just been looking for allies, they'd been searching for something specific, something the Void Hunters feared. A human child with the ability to amplify a Guardian's power. Nova raised her hand instinctively, matching Prism's movements. Light burst from the crystal being in geometric patterns that seemed to write themselves into the fabric of reality. Where the light touched the shadows, they didn't just retreat, they transformed, revealing their true nature. "They're not real," Nova gasped, understanding flowing through her bond with Prism. "The void creatures, they're just space twisted back on itself, like knots in reality." The lead void creature snarled, its form fluctuating violently. "What the child sees changes nothing. Your precious haven is already compromised. Even now, our forces descend through your levels, corrupting everything they touch." Commander Phoenix struggled against the shadows holding her. "Nova, the heart, if they reach it." Silence! Dark tendrils tightened around Phoenix, but Nova had already grasped the danger. If the Void Hunters corrupted Haven's power source, they could create a tier in space large enough to bring their entire invasion fleet through, right in the heart of Earth. Nova felt Prism's determination merge with her own. The crystal being's light pulsed faster, matching the quickening of her heart. Through their bond, she understood what they had to do, but it would be dangerous. No human had ever attempted to channel a guardian's full power. Your species, the Void creature mocked, always believing you're meant for something greater. Your potential is nothing compared to the vastness of the Void. Nova thought of her years on the streets, of all the nights she'd looked up at the stars and dreamed of something more. She thought of her mother, who had always told her that kindness was the greatest power of all. You're wrong, Nova said, her voice steady. Humans aren't great because we're powerful. We're great because we never stop trying, never stop helping each other, even when we have nothing left to give. She reached out and placed her hand against Prism's crystalline surface. The connection between them erupted into something transcendent. Nova felt as if she could see the entire universe, every string of quantum energy, every fold in spacetime. More than that, she could see how to unfold them. Light exploded from Nova and Prism in a double helix of energy, spiraling outward in fractal patterns. Where it touched the Void creatures, their false forms simply unraveled, the twisted space straightening itself out like yarn being carefully unknotted. The lead creature shrieked, its voice distorting as its form began to unwind. Impossible! You cannot undo what the Void has. Watch me, Nova said, and poured her heart into the light. The sanctuary chamber filled with radiance so bright, it seemed to illuminate dimensions beyond normal space. The Void creature's shadows evaporated one by one, releasing Phoenix and revealing the pristine crystal walls behind them. But Nova and Prism weren't done. Through their enhanced connection, they could feel the Void Hunters throughout Haven, corruption spreading down through the levels. With a shared thought, they expanded their resonance field, sending it pulsing through the entire facility. In labs and corridors throughout Haven, Void creatures discovered they could no longer maintain their holds on twisted space. Their forms unraveled, reality straightening itself out in their wake. The darkness they'd spread through Haven's systems evaporated like dew under the morning sun. Nova felt the moment their power reached the heart of Haven. The massive crystal structure sang in harmony with them, its light joining theirs, amplifying their resonance until it reached even the Void ships waiting in orbit. Through their connection, Nova witnessed the Void Hunters' fleet suddenly finding themselves unable to maintain their grip on normal space. Their ships, built from the same twisted physics as their foot soldiers, began to unravel. The Void isn't empty, Nova realized, understanding flowing through her link with Prism. It's just space that's forgotten its true shape, and we can help it remember. The effort was tremendous. Nova felt her consciousness stretching to its limits as she helped Prism reshape reality itself. Just when she thought she couldn't hold on any longer, she felt other minds joining them. The Starborn throughout Haven, recognizing what was happening, added their own hybrid resonance to the field. Scientists at their crystal interfaces diverted power to support the expanding wave of restoration. Even normal humans, seeing the light spreading through their hidden city, reached out with their thoughts and hopes. In that moment, Haven truly became what its builders had dreamed, a place where humanity and stellar guardians worked as one, proving that the light of cooperation would always be stronger than the darkness of fear. Commander Phoenix watched in awe as the last traces of Void influence faded from Haven. I've never seen anything like this, she breathed. The resonance pattern, you're not just using it, you're improving it, teaching reality itself to resist Void corruption. Nova smiled tiredly, still holding on to Prism for support. The crystal being's light pulsed warmly, proud of what they'd accomplished together. That's what humans do, she said. We learn, we adapt, and we share what we learn with others. Through their bond, Nova felt Prism sharing one last image of crystal cities restored, of void-corrupted worlds healing, of humanity taking its place among the stars not as conquerors or victims, but as partners in the endless dance of light and darkness. The battle for Haven was over. The real work of building a brighter future was just beginning. 1 month after the battle for Haven, Nova stood at a window in her new quarters, watching the underground city's artificial sky shift from dawn to full daylight. She wore a simple uniform of the Earth Defense Initiative's Youth Academy, the fabric embedded with subtle crystalline threads that sparkled when she moved. Prism hovered nearby, its crystalline form now adorned with intricate geometric patterns that marked it as an official Earth liaison to the Stellar Guardian Council. Through their bond, which had only grown stronger since their victory, Nova felt its contentment and excitement about the day ahead. "Still can't believe this is real sometimes," Nova said, adjusting the collar of her uniform. "A real bed, regular meals, and apparently I'm going to help reshape human-guardian relations. Not bad for a kid who used to sleep in doorways." Prism's light pulsed with affectionate amusement. After their shared victory, the crystal being had officially adopted Nova through Guardian customs, a fact that had created quite a stir among both human and Guardian diplomatic circles. She was the first human child to be formally recognized as part of a Guardian's crystalline family network. A knock at her door preceded Commander Phoenix's entrance. The commander's uniform now bore new insignia marking her as Haven's true security chief, her loyalty proven during the Void crisis. "Ready for the big day?" Nova nodded, though butterflies danced in her stomach. Today marked the first official public announcement of Haven's existence and humanity's partnership with the Stellar Guardians. After decades of secrecy, Earth was finally ready to acknowledge its place in a larger cosmic community. "The surface evacuation teams reported success," Phoenix said as they walked through Haven's corridors. "The winter storm that drove you to find Prism, it wasn't natural. The Void Hunters created it, trying to flush out any Guardians hiding on Earth. We've finally managed to break their weather manipulation grid. Spring is returning." Nova felt a surge of joy through her bond with Prism. Her old neighborhood would no longer be trapped in perpetual winter. The people she'd known on the streets would have a chance at a better life. They entered Haven's Central Plaza, now transformed into a broadcast center. Holographic screens floated in the air, showing news feeds from around the world. Global leaders had gathered in New York for the announcement, while similar ceremonies were being held at other hidden Guardian human facilities around the planet. Dr. Renee Zhang, Haven's chief scientist, approached them with a tablet displaying real-time data. "The resonance field you and Prism created is still expanding," she reported excitedly. "We're seeing void corruption recede across entire sectors of space. Other Guardian outposts are reporting similar phenomena. You didn't just save Earth, you gave the universe a new way to fight back." Nova felt Prism's pride and happiness flow through their connection. The crystal being had explained that while Guardians had long protected space from void corruption, they'd never found a way to actually heal it before. The unique properties of human consciousness, especially children's ability to imagine new possibilities, had been the missing piece. A young Starborn technician signaled that they were ready to begin the broadcast. Nova took her place beside Prism at the central platform, surrounded by Haven's leadership. As cameras activated and signals began broadcasting to every corner of Earth, she thought about how much had changed in just 1 month. Haven had transformed from a hidden refuge to a beacon of hope. The facility's laboratories were now filled with human and Guardian scientists working together, studying the resonance field and developing new ways to protect and heal space. The Starborn children, no longer forced to hide their hybrid nature, were helping train a new generation of humans to work with crystalline technology. But most importantly, the streets above were being transformed. Haven's resources were now flowing outward, helping the homeless and forgotten find new purpose in humanity's expanded future. Nova had made sure that was part of the deal. No one would be left behind in this new age of cooperation. "People of Earth," Commander Phoenix began, her voice carrying to billions of listeners around the world. "Today, we stand at the dawn of a new chapter in human history." As Phoenix spoke, Nova felt Prism sharing a vision through their bond, not of the past or present, but of possible futures. She saw crystal cities rising from Earth's deserts, powered by clean Guardian technology. Ships of light and geometry carrying human Guardian crews to heal corrupted corners of space. Children of all species playing together in gardens that bloomed between the stars. But most clearly, she saw hundreds of scenes like her first meeting with Prism, moments of simple kindness between different species, each one helping to weave a stronger universe. Every act of compassion, no matter how small, created ripples of light that pushed back the darkness. Nova reached out and touched Prism's crystalline surface, adding her own hope to the vision. They had learned that the void wasn't their true enemy, fear and isolation were. The courage to reach out, to share warmth with a stranger, to believe in something better, that was what really kept the darkness at bay. Commander Phoenix turned to them, signaling it was their turn to speak. Nova stepped forward, Prism's light merging with her own subtle crystalline glow. She thought of that cold night that seemed so long ago, when she'd shared her only blanket with a wounded stranger from the stars. "Hi, everyone," she said, her voice clear and strong. "I want to tell you a story about how one small act of kindness can change everything." Around them, Haven's central plaza filled with soft light as human and Guardian technologies worked in harmony. Above, the artificial sky shifted to show the real stars waiting overhead. And in neighborhoods across the city, the last traces of eternal winter finally melted away, revealing the first green shoots of spring. A new day was dawning, not just for Nova or Haven, but for all of humanity. And it had started, as the most important things often do, with a simple choice to be kind.